Welcome to Nonprofit Stories, inspiring tales from Silicon Valley. We will explore the transformative work of nonprofit organizations and leaders who are changing our community by tackling some of the most pressing issues facing Silicon Valley. So without further ado, let's dive into this exciting conversation. Today, we welcome Felicia Webb and Michael Andrade of Reading Partners of Silicon Valley. Their mission is to help children become lifelong readers by empowering communities to provide individualized instruction with measurable results. America's child illiteracy problem: 2 out of every 10 children enter kindergarten with skills 2 to 3 years lower than their grade level, and another 2 start school with a 1-year disadvantage. Illiteracy is a major factor in whether adolescents graduate from high school. 1 in 6 high school students, or about 1.2 million teens, drop out each year. Children of adults with low literacy skills are 72% more likely to be at a low reading level in school. Before we dive into the conversation, let's learn a little about the organization's great work so far.
First, I'm John, and I'm a site coordinator here at Reading Partners. AmeriCorps allows service members like myself to do a lot of great hands-on work in communities like this. We want our tutors to feel welcome at our Reading Center, just like we want our students to be excited about their tutoring. Reading Partners is truly fueled by the communities in which we serve. From volunteer tutors, to staff, to board members, to school and community organizers and donors. Reading is not just school, reading is life. Reading is essential. Reading is the key to open any door. So if we teach kids to value literacy and value reading, we put them one step ahead. We empower them to be successful.
Felicia, thank you so much for taking time to join us today.
Thank you for having me, Shara. I appreciate being here.
And thank you so much for bringing Michael along with you.
I appreciate being here. Thank you so much for having me.
And absolutely. And thank you so much for your time, Michael, today.
Absolutely.
Please tell us about the history of your organization and how it all began.
Okay. Reading Partners began as Yes Reading in 1999 here in Silicon Valley in Menlo Park by 3 former educators. They saw the discrepancy in the literacy scores of students who were in Title I schools. And if you're not familiar, Title I schools are schools where 64% or more of the student population will ordinarily qualify for free or reduced lunch. So they realized that in those schools, in the schools in Menlo Park where they were, there was a huge discrepancy between the reading levels of those students and their peers in other districts. So they began what was called Yes Reading. We changed the name in roughly around 2008 because Reading Partners became incorporated at that time. We had the Silicon Valley region, which is where I am the executive director. We moved to Oakland and then San Francisco, down to LA, and then in the mid-2010s moved to the East Coast. Reading Partners is now in 12 regions throughout the United States, and we all run the same type of program. I became executive director here in September of last year, so I am coming up on my 1 year with the organization. I began as an educator in Illinois, and when I moved here to California, I was looking quite possibly to go back into education because I'm also a psychologist, but I was looking to go into school psychology. When I came across Reading Partners, I read their mission, and I really resonated with their mission, which is to disrupt the inequality in the lack of reading services and literacy for certain youth. And that really spoke to me, not only as a former educator, but also as a psychologist. And I became very interested, and I did my due diligence in researching the organization. And the more I read about it, the more I really fell in love with the organization. So that is how I actually became part of the organization.
That's great. What about you, Michael? What's your story?
Well, I arrived at Reading Partners in February and very fortunate to be here, a part of something truly special. As Felicia was saying, Title I schools usually means there's communities that are needing services and support. And so in those communities, this is where I grew up. I was born and raised in the Silicon Valley area, so it means a lot to me to really do what I can to help these communities, especially the children. I definitely identify with these kids as I struggled as an early reader myself. And I understand how that can give a sense of belonging if you have more empowerment through your reading, and your resources that you have are the way to get this. And we are that for these kids. And one thing we're really important, I think, is this community is really wanting to help, but they just don't know how. So I feel like we can lead this community in this direction through our innovation and through our team and just scalability.
That's great. Tell us a life-changing story, a life transformational story, which involved you guys and your organization.
There are so many. So I will speak for Reading Partners Silicon Valley because that's the region in which we work in. When I first became executive director, we were beginning to open our reading centers in the schools. And I was present when they were doing the Star Renaissance assessments that we do for the students. And in one of our schools, in the Alum Rock School District here in San Jose, an entire classroom of second graders. In that entire classroom, there were 34 students. 23 of them were reading below grade level, which means that they were reading anywhere from 6 months to 2 year below grade level. So to give you some context, those second graders are the school students who began school during the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
So that can give you an idea of what that distance learning, how was not adequate for them. So at the end of the year, we also give our students the same Star Renaissance assessment to see their growth. In this particular group of second graders, 77% of them have met their primary learning growth goals. So what that PLGG means is that these are students who have passed, who are passing or have surpassed being able to meet the benchmarks for their grade area for second grade, which means they not only know phonemic awareness, they are putting word pairs together, they're making sentences, and these were all things that at the beginning of the year they could not do. So that is probably one of the biggest and best transformation stories I can give you from the student perspective.
Did you saw any impact of COVID on your program?
COVID did negatively affect our schools. We saw a lot of schools, a lot of our students have what's called an interruption of learning, where they were in school, but, then everything shut down and they were able to go to school from home. But what happened was a lot of our students, especially those who live in lower socioeconomic areas, they didn't have the same access to computers as, say, their peers. Either their parents were also at home working, so the computer was being used, or they didn't have a computer in their home, or they didn't have the internet in order to log in. So there were so many things that were happening with those students. So what we found is that more and more of our students fell further and further behind. So give an example of that class of second graders. Those were students who began school during the pandemic, and because of that, they are up to 2 years behind in their literacy compared to their peers in other areas.
That's very interesting. What about you, Michael? Any story which is closer to you, which you'd like to share?
Well, I really kind of identify with this COVID period. Everything transformed, as you know, in the way of engagements, corporate engagements, interaction. We're talking here about how do we evolve from what we were to where we are. And I think really adopting the Zoom platform and creating a really interactive format really kind of showed how we can grow and scale. and do the good work that we're doing. And now taking it to another level, just coming ahead to take this platform and really make it engaging for students and for the tutors beyond what they've even seen is really the transformation in the making. We're right now witnessing it.
That's so inspiring.
Yeah.
So what are some of the challenges your organization face and how you and your team, you guys have overcome them?
Probably the first one that I can think of would be just letting people know who we are.
Sure.
Even though Reading Partners has been around in the area since 1999, not a lot of people knew who Reading Partners was, with the exception of maybe the schools that we were in. At one time, Silicon Valley were in upwards of 15 schools. When I came in last year, we were in 4. So, and that a lot of that is due to funding. A lot of that was due to the pandemic. So one of the biggest challenges we've had has been to bounce back from the pandemic. As an organization, we did pivot to an online platform, which is called Reading Partners Connects, which some of our schools still utilize. It's set up exactly like our Reading Partners traditional. However, the tutor is virtually working with the student who is there in the reading center.
I see.
So that was a pivot that we made, but it's still, we're still having some issues with getting volunteers to come in. That is a huge challenge for us. We are a service organization, which means we do work with the AmeriCorps. We have had challenge getting people to apply for AmeriCorps. A lot of that is not because they don't want to do the work, but a lot of it is cost of living here in Silicon Valley.
Sure.
Housing is a huge issue
Sure.
in this area. So to get people who are willing to basically do an intern, a school intern, for 1 to 2 years is not difficult to find the people. It's the cost of living here. So that has been a challenge with cost of living and housing. So that's a huge challenge. I would say another challenge that we have seen is parent involvement. Because of the way the pandemic have really hit people financially, there's a lot of parents who are working more than one job. There's a lot of our students living in multi-generational homes, so they are there with not only their parents, but their grandparents. And because of that, some of the parents are very busy and they're unable to be as engaged as I think a lot of them would like it to be. So that has been a challenge for us to really get the parents involved with their students. This year we have made a new program for Reading Partners Silicon Valley in which we are really working with a lot of parental outreach, where we have a community engagement manager who is working with us in all of our schools that we are in this year to do more parent engagement. So we will have parent engagement nights at the school. We have parent engagement during even this summer at the library. We're going to be at the Santa Clara County Fair.
Wow.
So there's a lot of ways that we're trying to up the parent engagement.
And Michael, as a development director, give us an example of how do you collaborate and network to resolve some of the challenges which Felicia mentioned.
Yes, as development director, it's really important to make sure the collaborations are accessible and logistically as well. So as Felicia was saying, there were some areas where it made it difficult to really reach some of the sponsors, potential sponsors, and some of the employees that want to engage locally with our students. So the ability to scale is important. And so when we do this with technology, it helps me as a development director find more interested parties that want to be a part of this. And so when I talk to partners, like we talk to Salesforce and other companies that are interested in scaling, interested in partnering, we can go ahead and feel comfortable with our platform and with the fact that we can deliver more to the students. And really what's happening here is the fact that we have ability to really meet and more communities and really fill this need that is so important. And because of this, it's exciting at the same time, but we have to make sure we go at the right space, the right pace. And with that, we work together closely as a team to make sure, like with community engagement, that we're doing the right areas that really make sense, and where efforts are all collaborative together internally, as Felicia, as our leader, really guides us quite well in that. And so with that guidance internally, externally, it just starts to manifest that way.
Worried about the dilemma of selling first or buying first? TradeMyHome.com, powered by Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, has the solution. With our guaranteed 24-hour cash offers, you won't risk owning 2 homes or being homeless. You can buy first and sell later. Are you upgrading or downgrading in the next 3 to 6 months? Text PAIR to 408-740-7400 for a free and no-obligation professional equity appraisal report. Exclusively for Nonprofit Stories podcast viewers. For more information, visit TradeMyHome.com or call 408-740-7400. Remember, at TradeMyHome.com, your home is sold guaranteed or we'll buy it.
Can you share an example of how networking and collaboration have helped you?
We are very fortunate to have many foundation, individual, and even corporate collaborators that we do work with. One that sticks out of my mind is Qualcomm. We actually do have a member from Qualcomm who is one of our board members. He's a very active member. And that kind of collaboration is one that we're even trying to develop even more. Because we're trying to expand and build our board so we can expand and build more, as I stated before, throughout Silicon Valley region. We also have other collaborations with other foundations like the Leo Shortino Family Foundation and Synaptics. Synaptics is one of our long-term collaborators that we have, where not only are they a financial sponsor and donor, but they are also responsible for a lot of tutoring sessions. A lot of their employees are also tutors. We have a growing collaboration and relationship right now with Cisco, and we have many, many others. We have many other individuals, smaller organizations like Thing 123, Bank of America, and others that we do collaborate with. They do come and they speak with our AmeriCorps workers on things such as financial issues and banking, financial fidelity and banking issues. So we do a lot of necessary and very fruitful collaborations.
How do you envision your organization's growth in the future?
Oh, wow. We can do an entire show on my vision. When I came in to the organization, as I said, the schools that we were in had dwindled down to 4. And I spoke with, my very first day on the job, I spoke with our CEO, Adiola Whitney, and she told me what her vision was for the organization and the growth and scale and growth of the organization, and how they would like to see us provide services to more children and be more racially, ethnically diverse and inclusive, even in our materials that we have for our students. And I thought, this is great. I'm in the right place. This is definitely the organization I want to be in. And during my interview process for the position, I knew I wanted to see us grow. Because I'm originally from Illinois, so I know Illinois schools pretty well. And moving to California, I was just beginning to learn the Bay Area school districts. And working here, I've come to know San Jose and the surrounding areas very well, and the needs that are in the school. So one of the things I would like to see for our region is to saturate Santa Clara County and move upwards up the peninsula to Redwood City and
Sure.
possibly San Mateo. And what I would like to do is to see us service at least 50 to 60 children at each of the schools that we are in, if not more, because there is definitely a lot of need in those schools. I would like to see us offer more of our Reading Partners Connects programs to our schools, because a lot of our students are very, very tech savvy. A lot of them are probably even more tech savvy than me. And I think a lot of them have really resonated with the RPCX that we have. So that is a vision that I have for us. I want to see us to grow and saturate the area and to be able to help more and more students with our program, because it works. Our growth goals that we're seeing in our students, they're remarkable. And I would like to see that for more of our students. The organization is beginning to write our own materials, our own books. They're becoming more racially, ethnically diverse. And that's very important for our students, because in our materials, not only are they learning, but they're seeing characters in those books that look like them. And when students see things that look like them, that makes them even more engaged.
Right.
So I would like to see those materials in the hands of all of our students. So yes, and part of our program, we do what's called Take a Book With You. Is at the end of every session that our students come, they get to take a book from the library of books that we have there and take it home with them. So that means if a student comes to 20 sessions, that's 20 new books that they have by the end of the year. And that's important to me because for example, in one of our schools in San Jose, they have a library. They physically have a library. They do not have a librarian. For whatever reason, the district did not fund a librarian.
Sure.
So those students at that school cannot go in and check out books. So one of the things I would like to see us do is expand that Take Reading With You program. So when students are in schools that for whatever reason they're unable to check out books, they're unable to take books home, that we will always have enough books for them to be able to take home with them.
That's so inspiring, Felicia. And Michael, as a development director, what is your vision?
Well, first of all, I would agree wholeheartedly that it works. And that's really two-pronged. It works externally and internally on ourselves. We have this, tutors who are really being of service, and this is from the heart. They come in and they get rewarded, as we all do, and when we do service. So this is something that we must not take for granted, that the ability to work with children and just witness the growth is so rewarding. And then when the children are then being taught and giving the right resources to be fully empowered to reach their full potential, what better vision is that? That's all it takes.
That's so great. And obviously you guys are doing some great things. What are some key strategies which have contributed to the success of your organization? Starting with you, Felicia, first.
Regionally, I have tried to honor the pillars that we have as a national organization. The pillars of equality, the pillars of collaboration, of innovation. I've tried to assemble a staff that I think will also uphold those same pillars that Reading Partners National has put in our mission and our vision. My staff is very diverse. We come from various walks of life, from serving in the military to being former teachers to being nonprofit development managers and directors, to early education teachers, and to even myself as a psychologist. So we all bring something unique to the table. We do not all come from the same experience. So I think that helps when we are thinking about how we're going to be innovative and how we work with the different schools and libraries and families. It helps us to think out of the box, I guess you could say. And that has definitely worked for us here in Silicon Valley. We are doing things that the people who were here before us did not do before. And it's working for us. We're out in the community a lot more. We are engaged a lot more with our schools. We've started new partnerships with new schools. So that has all added to the success that we are seeing. So on your side, Michael, what do you think for development?
Well, it translates well. The team is certainly engaging, and we all have different personalities, which makes it so special. And we trust in that. And for instance, we're very open to hear others' opinions and others' thoughts because they do come from different walks of life, as Felicia mentioned. And through that, we think differently. And that inspires us to be more curious about things and then to kind of see things a little bit differently. And so with that, it translates into our way of approach to other outside tasks that we're doing. For instance, the community engagement, I have a close relationship, insightful to kind of see those nuances that it takes to really align them with the development side and how that might impact some of the potential funders on the corporate side in a nuance. And through that, new ideas can come up. And then through this program relationship we have with the team there is also this connection with really wanting each other to succeed. We see that. And this is all because of this team really supported for each other that Felicia has built, and this trust has evolved. And this is what relates to the strategy as well, right? To really be innovative in our thinking, not just in the technologies of the world, but also just how we approach things with our minds. And I see this already coming together as we approach our new year here. I'm excited about the future.
That's great. That's awesome. It's been such a great experience talking to both of you. Thank you so much for your time, and let's stay in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Reading Partners Impact. 82% of Reading Partner students meet or exceed their primary end-of-year literacy growth goal. 85% of Reading Partner students develop mastery of essential foundational reading skills needed to read at grade level. 143,488 books distributed to students through the Take Reading With You program.
It's time for our trivia question to win prizes. This section is hosted by our AI host, Kay.
Hi, this is Kay from TradeMyHome.com, powered by Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Your home sold guaranteed, or we'll buy it. Here is our NPS trivia question. Which charities got milk? Campaign, started in 1993, became one of the most popular and well-known advertising campaigns to encourage drinking milk? And your options are American Red Cross, Make-A-Wish Foundation, or California Milk Processor Board. Winners will get a $25 Amazon gift card and recognition in our next episode. Submit your entry on our website, trademyhome.com/NPS, or by scanning the QR code on the screen. Only the top 3 correct entries will win.
Thank you for listening to the podcast and acknowledging the impactful work of nonprofits in Silicon Valley. Please subscribe and share this episode with a friend. Thank you to our sponsor, TradeMyHome.com, for their community commitment and for making this podcast possible. Until next time, remember to support local nonprofits.